Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to welcome you all to our second session of Meet Our Inspiring Graduates. This is Ms. Wian Baashin. I would be honored today to moderate this session. Our first guest speaker is Ms. Ahel Abeid. I think all of the faculty members here definitely remember her, mashallah. She was actually our student here at PSU. She graduated from Prince Sultan University in 2018 with a bachelor's degree in English and translation. Despite the fact that she's an introvert and a quiet person, she's working as a communications officer at the Embassy of Belgium in Riyadh, the Francophone workplace she works at, and her natural love for languages have allowed her to develop her French and become a polyglot. Outside the office, Ahella is committed to scientific translation or purposeful translation. We're so happy to have you today, Ahella, with us. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ms. Wiam. Thank you so much for this introduction and for the efforts you put into organizing this session. Thank you, dear professors, for making it to this session. Reading your names on the list of attendees has awakened my nostalgia. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join. I know as a previous student that attending sessions during the break hour is quite a sacrifice. I appreciate your presence, and today's session will be of value for you. Well, my journey is in a nutshell, as introduced by Ms. Wiam. At first, I wasn't really decisive about joining or enrolling in English and translation or languages in general. I was more into art and passionate about art, but I remember a dialogue between my mom and myself. She was convincing me to go ahead for English. And I told her there are so many people who are studying English and translation everywhere. How am I going to be like, how am I going to be distinguished? She said to me something that I still remember, that there are thousands of shops out there. Only a few are selected by customers. You can always shine. You can always be successful. It's just your attitude and the desire that you, that in yourself, that to be like distinguished. And the other thing is that another advice she gave me is that English and translation is, this major is the key to so many career paths and a start to so many career paths. And she was right. I did my co-op at the United Nations Development Program. Then I worked at the Embassy of Belgium, first as a consular assistant and then now as a communications officer. Studying at PSU, I myself look at it as a privilege on so many levels. First of all, in terms of, and this is something I discovered when I first started working. PSU is, the name of Prince Sultan University is very favored by HR people and many companies, because this university really works both on academic education as well as preparing students to labor market. Courses that I studied at within the translation program helped me so much in my career, especially courses that included other activities. Now, of course, the translation courses were important, very important, and they built both my confidence, my knowledge, but also there are activities just like in every course, just like the community service that we had in Dr. Khaled Albani's classes. We used to do community service, and this is when I started to translate for websites, scientific websites, and think outside the box. How can I be a translator in a way that is both appeals to my passion and at the same time adds to my experience. Also, another very important skill that I acquired from Dr. Hadir's classes is the blogging, and I used to manage the blog and like to moderate it. So this gave me a lot of skills, especially that what I'm working now on content creation. So I'm really thankful for that experience. Another one also landmark, I would say, and it's the first time I ever had my translation published or read by the public, is when Miss Wiam had us translate like short text for, I think it was King Fahd Foundation or something like that. I still have the letter or the certificate they gave me, and I still appreciate it so much as a first start. Of course, I thank all professors and instructors who made me the person who I am. And then we have to, of course, we all know that when you graduate from university, there is a gap, there will be a gap, and this doesn't really have to do with the university itself. It's just how the labor market is evolving so fast, and you have to adapt. I first identified that when I stepped into it. At the UNDP, I realized that it is not really sufficient to be just a translator. You should be equipped with other skills. And those skills are like employability skills and other skills that are career-related skills. For example, I first worked at the UNDP. I worked as a finance assistant, and there I had, of course, computer literacy is something basic, but I had to develop it more, especially Excel skills, because we worked a lot on that program. Like being fast learner, like learning how to use new softwares, as well as as well as dealing with numbers and like basic finance concepts. The same also applies when I worked at the Belgian embassy. There were also so many translation related, because I worked more in translation when I worked at the embassy. You just can't always expect or predict what text you are going to deal with. So you have to be prepared with all skills and sets of terminology. When I worked at the United Nations, as I told you, I worked as a finance assistant, and I wasn't really satisfied about that. Yes, I used to beg for translation tasks, but I was mainly a finance assistant, and this didn't really align with my career. I was prepared to shift from translation. I had no problem with that, because I knew translation is a key. You don't always have to work as a translator, but finance wasn't really my thing. So I then, however, it was a great opportunity that helped me grow. There I met with, and this is something I still remember, I met with Mr. Yasin. He is the personal translator and interpreter of late Prince Saud al-Faisal, who was the former foreign minister of Saudi Arabia. And I was so shy, but I wanted to learn from him. I asked him, what can I do to be a better translator? He said, what you can do to be a better translator is to read more in Arabic. And he gave me, he advised me to read the Arabic, like all texts like Kitab al-Aghani, and like these texts that were composed during the old times, because these texts help you be more fluence in the original Arabic language, not the language that has been influenced by translation. And I believe his advice was great, because since then I focused more on these texts and they helped me a lot. Because the mistake he told me, the mistake that, and the fatal mistake that people tend to fall in, is that they focus more on English and they lose their Arabic. But the turning point was when I met another colleague, and she was working kind of administrative work. She told me something that really like impacted me. She said, I am comfortable here, but I know that I can be replaced anytime, and I know that anyone can do what I do. Here, I felt like I don't want to do something that everyone can do. Not this in this sense, but I want to like have my own touch, my personal touch. How can I have it in numbers and in finance? That's why I seriously began thinking for another opportunity. It was not possible to work in communications department at the UNDP at the time, so I applied for the Belgian embassy. The same when I worked as a consular assistant, there wasn't a lot of way to put my or to invest in my like communications and translation skills that I already have. But it was, and this is where I advise everyone to take attention, to take initiative. It was once that we had this training for firefighting, and there were policemen coming to the embassy, and they couldn't speak English. So one of the employees was a bit hesitant to be an interpreter. Then she looked at me and she said, "Are you not a translation graduate?" I said, "Yes." So she was like, "Okay, go ahead and interpret." So when I began interpreting, and I wasn't prepared really, but the ambassador liked that, and she was like, "Okay, you can work more on translation." And this is when I like shifted more into translation. Now, currently, as a communications officer, my tasks involve, yes, they do include translation, but more speech writing. We write for newspapers and interpreting. I interpret more than I translate. So, and this is something I really like, because for me, translation is like, you know, translation in these sectors, like within time, they become kind of boring, because the same text come along and along. So there's there's no really room for creativity or for getting exposed to something new. But interpreting is always exciting and always challenging. There's more human interaction. So for me, I really prefer interpreting over translation, and I like that I do it more often. Um, if uh, if anyone is interested in or really really into diplomatic sector and international organizations, I have a couple of things that or tips to maybe share with you. Of course, I still there's still a long way for me to learn, but this is what I have learned so far. So as you know, these institutions are multicultural, and two languages are not enough, especially in embassies. For international organizations, a third language is a plus, but for embassies, no. Sometimes they are like really required, especially if it's like a French or German language. Of course, you are not expected to speak Swedish or I don't know, Finnish, but French comes as the official language of the European Union. So even if you are working in another European embassy, French is a language that you will use. But it's not also that. Usually, this sector requires you to have a firm grasp of international relations. As in communications nowadays, we work on a very important concept in international relations that is called the public diplomacy. It is to bring diplomacy into people. And I manage social media and I write content for social media. You cannot, in the 21st century, diplomacy is not about an ambassador stamping or doing paperwork in their offices. No, it's more being involved with people, with culture, and the events we do also have to involve culture. So this is why you bring international relations to become people to people, not business to business, not just state to state, but also people to people. This is how it comes more exciting and more there is more room for creativity, and I really liked it when I started working on social media. And I was so proud that usually the Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs does kind of a competition where they select best social that I am very proud of. So yeah, another thing you have to also keep in mind that you cannot, you have always to be familiar with the work of United Nations as a translator, and who is willing to work in this sector, because every government nowadays and representation of a government is working in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, and these are the goals that are set by the United Nations in 2014 to regulate and unify the efforts of governments around the world. So these two diplomatic representations and posts and international organizations, they come together. Now, another thing that I would like to advise you, I have some 10 commandments that I would like to share with you, or tips that I would like to share with you. They are of things that I have observed so far. The first thing is to always be prepared. What I used to do when I was still a graduate, or even after I graduated, when I was still a student, or after I graduated, I used to look for job postings of the dream position, the position I dream to assume, and I see what requirements they require, just to have an idea, and I work on them. So when the time comes and I find an opportunity, I am prepared. The building knowledge of, for example, I don't know, international relations, of diplomacy, and also language knowledge doesn't come overnight. So you have to be prepared when the opportunity you've been waiting for long comes. Another tip or another advice is just also be relaxed. One of the things that I really regret, that I was so hard on myself, especially when I was a senior student. I was so hard on myself and I was so stressed out. But things turned out to be okay, and I would have reached what I was seeking for in both ways without being stressed out. But this is, you only get to know that there is no need to stress out is when you just passed that stage. So from now, I'm telling, I advise you to always relax and enjoy this period of academic education, or the years of university are self discovery. So you are discovering yourself in those years, even a few years after you graduate. Like I myself still think that there are aspects of myself that I'm not aware of or unaware of. So I still need time to know what other things I'm capable to do, and that's okay. I mean, this can take even 10 years. That's totally fine. We are not on the same, we are not the same. Like some people can really identify what they need from the moment, like since high school, and some people are not. And another thing is when you graduate or even when you are at the university, take initiative. As I told you, when I first when I had my job at the embassy, I was just doing consular work, which is a combination between immigration and legal work. But then to do what I like, content creating, interpreting, speech writing, I had to speak out. I had to propose. I had to oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, so when you come to just take initiative and you go for your chances, this is when you are. This is what you will be noticed more. And the fourth thing is commitment. People speak so often about passion, but passion within time doesn't stay. Commitment is what you need. Sometimes you will have to do things that you hate. Sometimes you will have uh, to do repetitive work while you are completely sorry to say that disgusted, but yeah, you've got to do it. So this is and commitment also comes with responsibility. So this is what makes you a professional employee or a professional, just a professional. And I'm not underestimating passion, but it is not something that you can rely on. Commitment is a strong foundation for any project or any future success. Another concrete tip is documentation. When you work, especially in the sector that I work on, it is marked by sensitivity um, uh, and confidentiality. So everything you do has to be documented. And this is something also I learned while I was working at the UNDP. Always have things written down. Whatever you want, if you are seeking for approval for a text to publish, for example, get the approval written, get everything written down by email, not just a word of mouth. So you can always refer back and have yourself covered. This is especially important in our sector. So another thing not to do is to be a perfectionist. Being perfectionist or over being a perfectionist is going to stop you from accomplishing or of completing things. When I first began speech writing, I wanted the first speech that I write for one of the diplomats to be perfect, and it took me 2 weeks, and I was late, which is not acceptable in the end. But then I learned within time is to do what I can, and then just fix like the text later when I have time. But always if you have to choose between completing a task or being a perfectionist, okay, always go for completing it. And if your goal needs several steps, take them all. Don't skip steps thinking that you are just shortening the period. No, you will then need to go over it again. So whatever it takes to learn a skill or to acquire it, just do whatever it takes. One another tip is being workaholic. Just don't be that, because for me, like in my personal opinion, I don't know what people look at, think of that. This is no, like many people whom I met after reaching a certain age, they always regret favoring work over family and over their own like their own personal life. Always evade procrastination, and my professors know me, and I'm one of the biggest procrastinators. But I would say it cost me a lot to to fix this in myself. So if you can fix that behavior in yourself, it is serious, very serious to procrastinate. And I think procrastination comes with being overly perfectionist. Last but not least, when you first start working, always put your personal life aside and avoid process. And so I took longer, I think, than I should.
Thank you
But
so
thank
much,
you so
Ahila.
much. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot them at me.
Thank you so much, Ahila, for this very inspiring talk. We really learned a lot from you, mashallah. Ahila, we have one question here for you. Rana Khattab, our colleague, she's a graduate from the translation and she's actually living in Belgium. We actually had her in the first session. She has a question for you. Since she's living in Belgium, she is asking how is working with Belgians in an Arab context? Do you feel cultural differences? And if there are any, do you consider them challenging?
Of course, there's a big cultural a difference between the two nations and the two peoples. It is more exciting to deal with these differences than challenging. And of course, you have to pay extra attention, especially that you are whatever we produce on our social media or in our press releases is considered an official statement. So we have to be very careful, and we have to be as well politically correct. So yeah, but the Belgians that I met here in Saudi Arabia are really having great time and enjoying it and enjoying these differences.
Thank you so much, Ahila. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed your talk. If you can just stop sharing the screen. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Ahila.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now allow me to welcome our second guest speaker, Ms. Dana Al-Jaafra. Dana graduated from PSU as second of her 2013 class of Applied Linguistics program. She did her co-op in a school as an English teacher and thus chose to continue in the education sector. She worked in Riyadh and Jeddah as an English educator for a total of 7 years. She also worked on the side as an optimizer and modifier to educational platforms. She has recently moved to Turkey and is pursuing her career as a freelancer and optimizing platforms. Welcome, Dana, to today's session, and we're really excited to hear from you today. If you can just share your screen. Yes, we can see now the presentation. You can start now, Dana.
Hello. Am I being heard? Am I clear?
Yes, you are.
All right, great. So let me just start. I just wanted to congratulate my colleague, Ahila. That was great. That was a great talk. And mashallah, she's done so much. My presentation is going to be more focused on my experience in PSU itself and then what I did after. As you can see from my presentation, I decided to make it more of a theatrical thing because that's who I am. I'm very theatrical. And we've had very different experiences, I think, because of how different our majors were, even though we're both English major. She's a translation major and I'm an applied linguistics major. PSU, of course, was one of the best experiences I've had in my life. And let's start with it. All right. So just as a quick recapping of everything that I'm going to be talking about today. First, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my experience in PSU, the classes I've had, the extracurriculars I've had, and basically just in general, my experience as a PSU student there. I'll be telling you a little bit about my co-op and how it went and what are the things that were helpful to me, how PSU actually helped me through it, because I believe co-op is the first step to actually being in the real world. Then we're going to be moving on to the real out there. I'll be telling you about that, what is actually what is actually like to go from being a student to being a responsible adult where nobody's supervising you. I'm still dealing with that, by the way. And then, of course, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the courses themselves. What were the differences between these different courses and how they are well equipped to help you in whatever career you choose to do. Moving on. So I wanted to actually mention this, that I've started PSU as a translation major. I was very proud of myself and, oh yeah, I want to go into translation. I'm very good at languages. And then I discovered that no, I wasn't. I wasn't very good at Arabic. My Arabic was not up to par. And that's why I wanted to change it. To applied linguistics, where we do not have as much focus on the Arabic language or any other language like we have on the English language, and which remind me, of course, of the proverb: no matter how far you've got on the wrong path, turn around and don't go further into it. And this is something that I still use in my life, and I still have it in my life. We have so many options to do, and we have so many things that we aspire to become, that we often find ourselves not wanting to go through an experience, fearing an experience, which is why this is something important to go through in college, to experience everything that you want to, because this is the time that you can actually experience, that you can go through all these things that you want to try and not be afraid to fail. So actually in university. So inside the campus, what was it like for me? I wanted to study in Saudi Arabia, especially as a foreigner. I wanted to be in the same place that I've grew up in, and I did not want to go through so many changes of changing the countries and choosing a complete different setting. I was under the impression that I'll be losing some of some aspects of actually experiencing life, and that did not happen. Actually, PSU gave me a lot of experiences that I would not have had in any other part of the world. The familiar sense of being in a place where everybody knows everybody was actually a very good experience for me. There is a very funny sitcom. It's called The Office. I do recommend it for everybody. It's one of my favorite shows, and it's a 9-year show. And at the end of the show, one of the major characters says the following sentence: "I wish we knew when we were in the good old days, while we were in the good old days," and which is actually a second saying my life nowadays. Always make the best of the place you are in. Don't look for something else. So while you are going through college, and while we are going through PSU will not be your favorite place on earth, obviously. You would not want to go through that because it's very hard, but it's actually once you leave, once you actually become the next step of yourself, the next version of yourself, you start missing these days, and you start missing being a student and being having this absolute free time and
Dana, there seems to be an internet connection problem.
Yes, I think from Ms. Dana's and not us. She left. Okay, maybe she has internet.
Let's see, a couple of minutes, we should be able to get back.
Yeah, sure.
just a message to the audience. Please wait a few minutes until we deal with this technical glitch. Also, if you'd like, you can write questions you might have in the Q&A chat box. I think you need to unmute yourself. Yes.
I'm just going to continue that. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome back, Dana.
Sorry. All right. So as I was saying, PSU actually had, the PSU had a lot to offer with the classes that were very, very open, and you'd have everything you need there with the smart board and with the instructors. And of course, PSU also offered you a lot of resources. For me, of course, the library, the computer labs. I'm sure the other majors had other resources that they can use. And they were very helpful in, as I'm putting a lot of focus on this, the point of experiencing and learning more. And these resources did not limit you to whatever you are studying right now. It actually opened your horizons to so many other things that you can learn. Of course, that we had other extracurriculars other than what you absolutely have to do. For example, all the clubs that we had, the drama club, the Toastmasters, definitely everything that I could have been open for me to experience and take part in, that would build skills that I would learn later, not limit myself to the curriculum that I need to take, all the courses that I need to take. Of course, other extracurriculars can actually be of the sportive nature. Not that I would know anything about that. I would not run a mile if you paid me, to be honest. But of course, these things are offered by university and actually does offer a reprieve from whatever you are going through with the university. You'd have the time to actually have a break, settle down, calm yourself down, and start again, start with a fresh energy. You could actually get the entire experience while you are still in college. I mean, during the same day of going through college, you did not have to take a long break, or you did not have to face all these challenges on your own or without any help. PSU was actually very helpful in that. And of course, as going through university, of course, you'd get all these stories that would happen to you, and they'd feel life-changing, and they feel like you're on your own and you just have to figure this whole world on your own. But that was not my experience, actually. I would like to tell a few stories of things that happened to me during my years of PSU. As you can see, of course, with the theme, I've had some comedy moments, some tragic moments, some melodramatic, as of course I'll be, even if it's not dramatic, I'll make it dramatic. And of course, some tragic comedy things. I remember one day I was very, very tired. I had so many projects and I had to think of the projects and the exams and the tests that you had to do, and majors and minors and all of that thinking. And I got into my class very early. I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And it took me literally 15 minutes to discover I was in the wrong class. I was just that tired. I remember looking at the girls and not realizing who they are. And I kept thinking, do I not see these girls normally? What is happening? And then the instructor came in and she started talking while I was just trying to jot down notes or something. So, and then she was saying something I did not know about. And I looked up. I remember her being the first time I've ever seen her. And I looked at her and who is that? And then I discovered I was in the wrong class. This is not my teacher. This is not a cover teacher. I'm just in the wrong class. So, and I got up 15 minutes later and I walked into the next hallway into my class. So things like that can happen where you get so tired. You have so many things, and these things can show you you'll just get up and do it again or not be embarrassed to go through them. and they do actually resemble lots of things that could happen in actual life where you are this tired. The tragic moments that I actually went through, I lost a dear friend during a very critical time of my PSU life. It was very sudden. It was a car accident, and I refused to go back and do my exam. I wanted to mention this because I remember how PSU actually, I remember my instructor calling me to come back and do the exam. I remember also her being very supportive later on, telling me that I can repeat it if that is something I want to do. I was in a bad period of my life. I just did not want to do it. So that caused my GPA to drop later. This taught me a lesson not to let anything affect how, or like deteriorate my focus on my goal. These things do happen in life, and being able to cope with whatever is happening is a very strong skill. Like I said, being a very melodramatic person, all my finals were like there would be sirens going on in my head, in my house, in my university. I'd be making all this. It's just like, these are the finals. And PSU taught me to calm down a bit, actually. It taught me that you'll just go through it. It's very fine. It's very all right. Exams are not the monsters. So once you go through that and you see how everyone around you is actually being very kind to you, like I said, it did teach me how to overcome my anxiety, overcome not my dramatic nature. That nothing changed that, unfortunately, but it did teach me how to channel all my anxiety energy into being productive. The tragic comedy, the anecdote that I wanted to mention, was one of my finals, obviously. It was actually called computer assisted language learning. I remember that course very well because during the middle of my exam, and I was writing a lot, I felt extreme pain throughout my entire arm, and my arm stopped working, literally stopped working. I remember Dr. Alia Mitchell coming on to the hallway and saying, no, I know Dana, she wouldn't be faking it. And it was very, now I remember it being funny, but it was actually very painful. And I remember how they got somebody, poor soul, somebody from the administration. She had to write everything for me. And I remember her telling me to stop writing because I've written a lot. And yeah, so things like that actually teach you how to just get up and focus again, go back to the same path, go on, do whatever you're doing, focus on the goal and keep going. These experiences that happen with you as a student does teach you a lot about how to handle challenges and problems that will later occur in your life as an adult, which takes me to my co-op. My co-op, of course, was the first step, and as our dear Dr. Am have introduced me as very kindly, it's the first step that I got into the real world, and I chose to do it as an English teacher because it was a passion. I really wanted to teach. I really wanted to go into the academic level. I wanted to, especially with the younger ages, it's always been my dream to teach. So that's what I did. I went to Jeddah Global International Schools, and I taught English there. So the challenges that you can go through with co-op and how my PSU experience helped me through it. So the first thing is work, application time. So me as a student, after we've given you all these courses, we've given you all these exams, we've made you go through all these anecdotes. So now it's time to take all this information and now it's time to apply it. So at first you'll have all this anxiety feeling that I can't do this. It's all been theoretical to me. When it's application time, this was helped by PSU. PSU helped me with that in doing lots of projects, lots of work, lots of having to deal with different challenges that the instructors would face us with, and moving everything that you learned from the theoretical to the application takes time and takes patience, but you'd feel you have the information, which is something I'm very proud of. For me, the students, of course, for any other major, that could be the tasks you are dealing with and of the projects that you need to handle as a translation, the things that you need to translate. But for me, my main work was the students themselves, and they are human beings. They have different personalities, and they have different. They're not what I expected them to be. So, what we experience here, courses like teaching you how to, for example, language acquisition, let's say, with learning how little children learn language, it's very eye-opening to you, and you'd actually remember all these things that you studied, and when you start seeing them as actual stories, actual people that you are dealing with, it was very eye-opening for me. Your colleagues, of course, are no longer your peers. When you're in college, everyone is your age. Everyone is around your age, and everyone you can call a colleague is a peer, somebody your own age. When you go to work, when you actually move from university to co-op, you'd have these major age differences and cultural differences and all these different aspects of life that you have to deal with, and nothing prepares you for that. Literally, you have to go through it. The only thing that I felt PSU gave me the push for it was how we were always encouraged to read and learn more. And for example, even a simple course as essay writing, let's say, would encourage you to read more and learn that there's something else that you need to deal with. That's why you put a lot of attention on these courses, let's say. Of course, administration to us is always on our side as students, because it's very smooth process, let's say. Once you go into actual the other side of the fence of the teaching life, you'd start dealing with the administration as a clash, or let's say as a conflict. Now you have to learn how to make a dialogue. You have to learn how to sit and make compromises, which is very interesting to us. Of course, you'll still be reporting because you are still a student. You are still a person who needs to talk with your instructors and still apply your life, still apply your student life into whatever you're working with. So how do you balance that? Of course, you just keep working, you keep at it until you get to the point where it becomes very normal to you. This is what you're doing now. This smooth transition, I believe, is the best thing about PSU experience, having the co-op being a requirement of your graduation, because it makes this change very, very smooth, makes this change as simple as possible. So just talking a little bit about what I did out there. I was a teacher from the 2012, of course, to 2013 in Jeddah, because I had to do my co-op. From 2015 until 2021, I was an English teacher in both Al-Aziz International Schools and in Najd schools. During my time in Abdulaziz International School, or as it's known, Shweifat, I was a coordinator, English coordinator there. Of course, I've written the grades here, 2 to 5, basically grade 2 to 5, which was very, very fulfilling to me. What I did that was different is being a platform modifier, especially after the Corona has hit everybody. I worked with the company Yumana, which specializes in making an online platform for schools. So they teach schools on the platform solely, or as a helper. For normal education, they would use an online platform to help. Sorry, Dr. Is there something you want to say?
No, I was just about to ask to remind you that we need to take questions now.
All right, sure. So
thank you so much, Dana. We really enjoyed your talk. That was really very, very interesting. Thank you so much, Ms. Dana. We have a couple of questions. I think she's asking about the job title as a graduate from Applied Linguistics program. Miss Dana is an English teacher, right? You're currently.
You mean what is my job because I'm an applied linguistic graduate?
Mhm.
Well, that's
This is
what's
what
so
she's
beautiful
asking.
about being an applied linguistics major. You don't have to limit yourself to one job. I chose to be an English teacher where you
course.
can go because, like I said, this is my passion. But I did work as an online platform modifier. You can work as a writer in any magazine or any form of place that you want to work with. You can even work as a translator. Applied linguistics is basically you learning all these things about English and how to use it, then applying it in the work field. You can work in hospitals. You can work, like I said, with the media. You can work with academic if that's what you want. So there's no job name for being an applied linguistics major. My job was an English teacher and of course a modifier for online platforms for schools. But you can choose whatever you want to be. Right now in Turkey, actually, because I'm right now based in Turkey. Right now, I've chosen to make it completely different, and I'm working as, of course, as a freelancer. I'm still working as a platform moderator, but I can go also into companies and being an office manager right now and facilitating business, basically.
Thank you so much, Dana. The same student has another question. When you graduated, how was your language and the level, I think she means, of your English language?
Learning a language is never it's not limited by time. The more you experience it, the more you practice it, the more you learn it. It's as simple as that. You can start by putting the goal. Why do you want to learn a language? For example, if you want to learn it solely for academic reasons, then reading is going to be your method of learning it. You keep learning it until you keep reading until you build all this vocabulary. If you want to go into something like communication or anything that you have to do with people, then you go into anything that teaches you how to hear the language. You might not be able to experience it as building of vocabulary as much, but you'll end up speaking the language properly. For me, I've graduated from international schools, and English is more of a second native tongue language. But it's an ongoing process. It's always an ongoing process for any language. For me now, I'm working on my Arabic, actually, because that's what we learn. English comes naturally because, of course, hearing it and reading it.
Yes, thank you so much, Dana. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session. Again, I would like to thank you again, Ms. Ahila and Ms. Dana, for making this session a success. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed this session.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, my dear.